After being stuck on a bamboo raft in the ocean and becoming dehydrated, the two girls only had 2 bottles of dirty water. One of them suggested to the other that the only way to drink the water was through the back entrance of the body. Then, out of nowhere, she pushed the water bottle through the other girl's back door, surprising her. The story begins with the scene of 4 high school girls lying unconscious on a beach. They all have attractive bodies, but that's not what the plot is about. As they wake up, the girls introduce themselves to one another. This is Asuka, a member of the basketball club and the track and field team. The next girl to speak is Shion, who is wearing her school blazer and enjoys playing the piano. The short-haired girl with glasses is Mutsu. She likes reading books and cooking. The last girl is Hair, a blonde girl who tells the others this isn't the first time she's been stranded on a deserted island. Now that Homari mentions the island, the girls finally acknowledge their current situation. Let's rewind to 12 hours earlier. Floating on the ocean surface are the remains of a plane after a terrible air crash. Hair is in a coma while holding onto a piece of the exploded engine. In her dream, she recalls her younger days with her survivalist father. They lived in extreme conditions year-round, from spring to winter, from forests to icy mountains. At one point, they had to survive by eating moose testicles, the taste of which was so disgusting that it wakes her from her coma. The 4 girls are now on a metal board, floating in the middle of the sea. Shion begins whining because she's thirsty. Asuka tells her to drink seawater, but Homare stops her, explaining that salt water will only dehydrate them more. At that moment, they notice a school of flying fish jumping out of the sea. Homare quickly grabs a wooden stick and knocks one out. Hair takes off her shirt and wraps it around the fish, then rolls the stick back and forth to soften the fish and squeezes its blood into her mouth. Homare kindly offers some to the girls, but none of them want to taste the suspicious liquid. After finishing the fish, Hair puts her shirt back on and is completely unbothered. The girls continue their journey until the next morning, when they notice an island nearby. As they jump into the water and swim toward it, a shark is attracted by the smell of blood on Hair's shirt. Facing the shark is child's play for Homare. She calmly throws a cell phone battery at it, shocking the shark and scaring it away. Using the skills she learned from her father, Homare begins teaching the girls how to survive on the island, including how to eat cicadas. She shows them how to find clean water, from coconuts, improvised filters, distillation, rainwater, or natural freshwater sources. Mutsu and Shion rest while Hair and Asuka head into the woods to search for water. Because of their different physical stamina, Asuka quickly gets tired and wants to rest. Hair coldly tells her she can continue alone. Soon after, Homare notices a sawfly, a sign that fresh water is nearby, and the two press deeper into the jungle. Back at the beach, Mutsu is resting when Shion finds a dried coconut and calls her over. At the same time, Asuka is exhausted and unable to move. Homare touches the ground and feels the dirt is wet, meaning fresh water must be close. She digs up some soil, puts it in a small sack, and squeezes the water into Asuka's mouth. Asuka even thinks it tastes good, until she learns the sack is actually Homare's sock. Meanwhile, after failing to crack open the dried coconut, the girls are disappointed to discover it's rotten. Suddenly, it begins to rain. They're overjoyed to have water, at least for now. Their next task is to find shelter, but since they're starving, food becomes the priority. Homare searches for food and returns with a sea urchin, 2 cicadas, some seaweed, and a mysterious jar of black liquid. They play rock, paper, scissors to choose dishes fairly. Shion wins the first round and takes the sea urchin, enjoying it like sashimi after Homare seasons it. Asuka aims for the seaweed, trying to avoid the suspicious items, but Mutsu wins the next round and chooses it instead. This leaves Asuka with 2 options, the dark liquid or the cicadas. Homare lets her choose. Asuka picks up the jar, thinking it might be blueberry jam, but immediately vomits after tasting it. It's actually animal feces. Homare then breaks a cicada in half, digs out its brain with a toothpick, and eats it happily, giving the last cicada to Asuka. Asuka is touched by the gesture but still can't eat it. Thankfully, Mutsu shares half of her seaweed with her. That night, they sleep on the beach. The next morning, Homare begins building a tent. Asuka looks at her with admiration, believing Homare is becoming a true survival master. But Asuka soon starts whining again, demanding Homare find her food. The others scold her for being selfish. Running out of rope for the tent, Homare goes to find more. Asuka volunteers to help. On the way, she finds a plant that looks like taro and tries to pull it out, discovering a turnip-like root with stripes. Homare warns her not to eat it, but stubborn Asuka ignores her. Homare finally tells her to test for allergies by rubbing the plant on her skin. If nothing happens, it's safe. If she gets a rash, it's toxic. Asuka foolishly exposes her butt for testing, and soon it breaks out in a rash. Homare helps clean her up. While gathering vines for the tent, Asuka lies on the grass in hunger. A cicada lands on her arm and she grabs it, intending to eat its brain but can't bring herself to kill it. She lets it go, only for Homare to snatch it midair and flick its head off effortlessly. Eventually, they complete the tent. Shion suggests building a bathroom, leaving everyone speechless. Later, Hare and Mutsu search the beach for food. They remove their clothes and go into the shallow water to hunt for snails and clams. That night, Homare uses a piece of glass to start a fire, and the girls finally enjoy a proper seafood meal after so many days of struggle. The next day, Homare teaches them how to hunt larger animals. They find a stream in the forest, and near it, a cage and small black pellets, rabbit droppings. They quickly build a trap. Back at camp, Shion whines about starving again. Homare says she'll look for food, likely hermit crabs. Hearing clams, Shion perks up as Hare heads into the sea to search. When Hare returns, Shion joyfully hugs her until she sees the catch: starfish. Homare explains they're northern Pacific starfish, edible when boiled. Shion reluctantly eats one after seeing Hare's scratched hands, and surprisingly, she enjoys it. The next morning, Asuka and Mutsu check the rabbit trap and find it worked. As the rabbit tries to escape, Asuka pulls the rope. Mutsu, holding a stick, tries to kill it but can't do it. Asuka takes over and ends the rabbit's life to spare Mutsu's sadness. That night, the girls enjoy their first proper meat meal in a long time. The next day, Homare decides to explore the island further and chooses Mutsu to accompany her. They bring water, a rope, a knife, and dried shells. Along the way, they find edible plants and an abandoned harbor. That night, they cook dried shells, worrying that the girls back at camp might do something reckless, like eating poisonous mushrooms. Suddenly, they hear rustling. Asuka and Shion stumbled there by accident. The four share a small net to sleep on. The next morning, Homare finds crabs and herbs for breakfast. She draws a plan. Each girl will walk 1,000 steps in different directions and return. Mutsu eventually discovers a Japanese lemon tree. Meanwhile, Shion claims she found a house, but it turns out to be a rundown shack, though Homare finds a pair of rusty shears that are still usable. The next morning, they return. Homare spots an 8-strand rope near a cliff. She tests the height with a rock, then jumps straight into the water and retrieves it, climbing back up like a pro. It starts raining and they rush to the tent, but it leaks badly. After the storm, bamboo washes ashore. Homare decides to use the bamboo to improve the roof. She ties the poles together and drags them along the beach, letting Shion and Asuka ride them for fun, until Shion gets seasick. After heating the bamboo so it splits properly, they finally build a stronger roof. The next day, Homare uses a bottle as a magnifying glass and a sharpened bamboo spear to catch a flounder. Shion, wanting to be as strong as Homare, decides she must join her for the next hunt. The next morning, after waving goodbye to Asuka and Mutsu, Shion and Homare begin their hunting session. Shion sails on a raft while Hare dives for more fish. After catching a black sea bream, Hare heads back toward the shore when she notices a strange current flowing away from the island. She climbs onto the highest rock to look for Shion, but Shion is nowhere to be found. No matter how loudly she calls, there is no response. Asuka and Mutsu are collecting dried wood when they hear Hare's shout. They rush to her, and she tells them that Shion has disappeared and may have been carried away by the current. Asuka angrily questions Hare about why she didn't stay with Shion, but Hare can only apologize. Mutsu tells Asuka to calm down. Hare then makes a small raft, determined to sail out and search for Shion, even though the raft is barely big enough to carry them across the ocean. Meanwhile, Shion is drifting farther and farther from land on her raft. Terrified, she starts crying but remembers Hare's advice that crying causes dehydration, so she forces herself to calm down. She wonders whether her friends have realized she's missing, and worries that she may never see them again. Suddenly, she spots a small island nearby and decides to try to reach it. She has to fight for her survival. Back at camp, Asuka and Mutsu prepare food, believing that Hare and Shion will return. Mutsu is still worried, but Asuka tells her to trust Hare. Shion eventually reaches the island, only to discover that it is nothing more than a large rocky formation with no plants or animals. While searching for fresh water, she finds a cave and hopes there might be water inside, but it's also dry. Exhausted and hopeless, she sits against the cave wall and cries, unable to bear the idea of dying alone. Hare continues searching for Shion, sailing as far as she can, but Shion is nowhere in sight. Hoping to get a better view, Hare uses her bamboo oars to vault herself upward and finally spots a distant island. Shion is losing hope when suddenly she hears Hare calling her name. She looks up to see her friend arriving on the shore. Overwhelmed, she asks why Hare is here, and Hare reassures her that everything is going to be okay now. Shion bursts into tears and hugs her tightly. However, Hare didn't bring any fresh water, and Shion worries they won't survive the return trip. She leads Hare to the cave she found earlier. Inside, they discover bats and contaminated water. The water is undrinkable due to the bat droppings, and drinking it would cause illness. Their priority now is to collect the plastic bottles scattered along the rocks so they can reinforce their bamboo raft. Shion helps Hare tie the bottles to the raft to create more buoyancy, allowing them to sail back more easily. Both of them are dehydrated and exhausted. They fill 2 bottles with the cave water and leave them in the sun, hoping UV rays will purify it, but it doesn't work. Shion becomes desperate for water, but Hare stops her from drinking the unsafe water because it would make her severely ill and worsen dehydration. Hare then thinks of a survival technique her father once taught her that allows the body to absorb water safely without drinking it. Although embarrassing for both of them, they use the technique to rehydrate enough to continue their journey. Afterwards, Shion asks Hare to keep the incident a secret forever. At last, the main island appears in the distance. The 2 girls use the last of their strength to paddle toward it. As they approach the shore, they see Asuka and Mutsu waving frantically. The 4 friends reunite with a group hug, relieved and overjoyed to be together again. And that wraps up today's anime summary. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, please follow for more anime summaries. Take care, everyone.